Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, Capture the Attention of Sellers Online. My name is Tara Christianson, and I am with realestate.com.au as their digital strategist. I just wanted to put out some few notes before we get started. Number one, if you've got a question, please use the Q&A that's down hopefully in one of your menus on Zoom to ask that question. It'll either be handled by me after I'm finished, or it will be handled by somebody extremely knowledgeable from realestate.com.au who's also on this. This is being recorded, so if you would like the recording, please reach out to your account managers or the people who assist you with your realestate.com.au account afterwards. And also see if you can sweet talk them into letting me share my slides, because I might be able to do that as well, at least some of them. So, which I would be more than happy to do, but again, it needs to come from you as that request first and foremost. Hopefully we can get through all of this. I talk really fast. If y'all aren't familiar with me, yes, I say things like y'all. That's number one. Number two, I do have a background in real estate. I was a full-time real estate agent in the United States for about 6 years before I transitioned to the education side of things. So actually teaching people just like you about all of the wonders of the online world, especially, and content marketing. And those are the things that really are my passion. So you'll see that I get really excited about this, but that's because I know this will really work. And I know now is really that time when we really have to be focused on capturing our sellers' attention online, because things are so competitive in this market. And it is a crazy market. I don't know about y'all, but I've been hearing from the States as well as here in Australia, this is the craziest market that people have seen in all their years of real estate. So, this is quite a time to be alive. And so we really have to be taking advantage of all the resources that are in front of us. And partly it's because there is this huge online audience. And so that's why we're focused in that online space. Is because for Australians alone, there's 22.13 million Australians who are internet users, and that equates to about 89% of the Australian population. So that right there says, look, people are online. Now, let's break that down a little bit more, because I know y'all are thinking, well, that's just everybody. How about for people who might be interested in what I have to offer? Well, that's that real estate side of things. And within 2020, we had 1.8 million potential vendors visiting the site. Now, here's the thing. That was February in 2020. We've just got our numbers from visits to realestate.com.au from last month. It was record again, 145.5 million total visits across both the website and the app platforms nationally. And that's up 16% year over year. So you can only imagine that if those potential vendors were looking before, that number probably has increased as well. So you really need to be thinking about, how am I positioning myself in that online space? And not just on realestate.com.au, but across that online space. And so those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. Now, specifically for sellers as well, this is from our property seekers report, and this was released earlier in this year. And if you notice that it's 83% of people are looking in that, 88% of people are looking in that online space. So that online space is so important. And 92% of the sellers who use those online resources use the property websites and apps. So we really need to think about not just how we're positioning ourselves on those property websites and apps, but also know that Google searches are more likely to lead sellers to those property websites or apps as well. So how we present ourselves on those platforms and apps is more important than ever. Also, it's because of this. Even now, sellers find difficult not just what price to put it up for, which of course I think is even more interesting right now in this market, but 25% are saying deciding on an agent. That is one of the hardest things that's there. So even now, deciding on that agent is one of the hardest things. And here's the thing, they're going online to try to figure out not just who's out there, but then they're also putting you next to your competitors as well and deciding, who should I even initially contact, or who is it that I actually want to work with? So it's not even that initial discussion of, well, we'll try this person, but we'll also contact this person. They want to just contact one person or two people, and that's it. And so they're narrowing their search down. They're narrowing their decision-making down in that online space. Some other things that you may find interesting, and I think this is interesting from how you are positioning yourself. People engage you to sell property because they feel like they have a lack of experience, because they need reassurance, because they feel like there's a lack of comfort around the transaction. So they're looking to you to give them that comfort, or because it's just simply an inconvenience. So they want you to make it convenient for them. Thinking about ways that you can position the things that you offer, the services that you offer people, using some of this information that's there is really important. So thinking about that in your content, thinking about that in how you position yourself in profiles, how you introduce yourself to people, both in the online and the offline spaces, all of those are going to be very important. So really think about concentrating on some of these things and why people engage you in the first place. So that leads us, of course, to the whole focus of this presentation, which is how to capture sellers' attention online. All right, so it's your agent profile, it's going to be your ratings and reviews, and it's going to be your social media presence. All three of these are very important. Now, when I say social media presence, by the way, if you are really active on your website as well, either doing blogging or putting some content up directly on that website as well, then please just kind of mentally incorporate that into your social media presence as well. We're going to start, though, with your agent profile. Now, we have some really exciting statistics from this one. And this also proves that people are really researching you online. 1.4 million visits to profile pages in October. That was up 32% year over year and 11% month over month. That is huge. That means people are looking specifically at these profile pages, and they're looking for information that's going to tell them that you are their agent of choice, or if you don't have the information they're looking for, moving on to somebody who does. So really thinking about and focusing on that is really important, because we know that sellers have said it's really difficult for us to choose an agent, and there's a lot of choices that are out there, and not enough people are differentiating themselves so that people can actually tell an apple from an orange. They all look like apples to them, and they all look like they're the same color and the same type and everything else that goes with that. So really thinking about how is it that you're standing out? So how do you stand out from others? That's a question that you need to be able to answer, not just when you're sitting across from somebody in a lounge room, which hopefully all of y'all are able to do now again, but also when deciding between you and your competition, why does that person choose you at the end of the day? These things need to be stated up front, or at least hinted at, that there is a difference between you and other people. There's a reason why people choose you to work with you, and a reason why sellers will want to list, number one, but then list with you, number two. So really thinking about how are you answering those questions in that online space, and specifically on your online profiles. And when I say online profiles, of course, I'm going to focus directly on realestate.com.au profiles, but this also means any profile that you have anywhere. So when's the last time that you've looked at your profile on your agency website? When's the last time you've looked at some of your profiles that you may have put up on Facebook or on Instagram? Do they all match, number one? So do they all have the same facts or figures or information? So is there consistency there? But also, is it up to date, and are you starting to differentiate yourself immediately when people come to those profiles? Because online profiles are just so important. We just have so many people visiting our site. It's not even funny. Again, though, these are not just for online profiles on realestate.com.au. Please take this to heart for everything that you're doing on all of those profiles. So the first sentence should be part of a headline. So thinking about what your headline is, what is the grabber? What is it that immediately makes you stand out and causes people to want to read further? Think about it like a subject line in an email. There's certain ones that you open and certain ones that you don't. And it's partly based off of just what you're focused on first and foremost. Think of also the way that you're using your language. Are you going to be more familiar? So are you going to be using I and you and those kinds of things? So are you using I and me in that first person, or are you being very formal and saying things like, well, Tara did this and Tara did that and Tara did that? Just remember that when you use that third person, sometimes that causes a little bit of a separation. So it creates almost like a little bit of a language or linguistic barrier between you and the person who's reading that. Just think about the way that you do business, the people that you like to do business with, and make sure that whatever that you have on your profile echoes who you are as a person as well. Providing that unique value proposition, that's what I was talking about, answering those questions up front. So telling people, what is it that makes you stand out? What is it that makes you different? Explaining your awards. We've got some amazing award seasons coming up. The ARIAs are coming. If you haven't, by the way, submitted or finalized your submissions for the realestate.com.au awards, I strongly suggest that you do that. But explaining them is also important, because the average person on the street doesn't quite understand sometimes what real estate awards actually mean. So take the time to maybe take one or two of the ones that you are most proud of achieving, and positioning it from a place that a seller could understand instead. So think about what it could mean. Does it mean that even if it's a commission-based one, think about, does that mean that you just sold a lot more? Is it that you're able to get a higher price for sellers on a consistent basis? What is it about that? Updating those images and video, and captioning any video. If you host on YouTube, you don't need to necessarily worry about captioning that video, but do at least read through those automatic captions just to make sure that all those words are right. It doesn't always understand American accents, so I can only imagine what it might think of some Australian accents that are out there. Updating that is just that visual immediacy that you're giving to people, both for images and that video, and you're also providing a multimedia experience for them. And finally, refresh these profiles regularly. This is great because we're coming up into that Christmas season. So if you do this now, or even if you're like, look, I'm going to hold off for another month because I've got other things to do, fine. But tell yourself, I'm going to do this at Christmas, and I'm going to do this at the end of the next financial year. So you've got Christmas and July, okay? Those are the times at least that you should be refreshing these and providing that consistency across. Also, don't be afraid to incorporate reviews directly into your profiles. So really think about some of the top things that you may have even received in the past and that you really want to highlight, because sometimes people won't scroll into the review section to read some of that. And having those testimonials at social proof, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment, is going to be really important. The other thing to really think about is this: at the end of the day, profiles are you as a listing. People are coming to you and they're deciding whether or not they're going to list with you. So you are actually creating your own listing here when you're creating a profile. So really think about this when you are creating this. If you could market your top dream listing, what would you do? What are all of the things that you would do to market that? And I'm sure some of that is going to be through photos and through video and through words. Treat yourself like you are the best listing that you have out there. That's one of the best ways that you can get this across. We have updated, by the way, our agent profiles as well. And so I don't know if you've noticed, or if you've gone to realestate.com.au recently, looked at your agent profiles, maybe looked at other people's profiles, but you'll notice that there are some differences that have happened here. Now, I want to emphasize that these are still evolving. So there may be some attributes or some things that you're like, oh, well, where did this go? Or what's happening with this? Also, delivering feedback is always important on these as well, because it is heard, it is listened to, and it is considered. So, provide some of that as well. But part of it is that we're really trying to make things stand out. We're really trying to put some of the effort in there to create kind of that understanding for people, so that they really get the information that they're looking for that's out there. So some of the things that we've done are incorporating an automated key performance snapshot. So you'll see that as a performance snapshot directly underneath that initial agent information. And that's done for you. So that's really important to have updated information about your solds and what's out there, because having that there will actually make that something that really makes you stand out as well. So that's really going to be important. We've created a little bit greater visibility around ratings and reviews. We've made the contact the agent part a little bit stickier, so that it's easier for people to actually reach out to you. We did incorporate the interactive listings map as well to show off that local expertise, so people really can visually see that as well. So there's a number of things that we've already done to these. Now, again, there's more updates that are coming. And so that's really important to kind of stay tuned because this is an evolution in progress. We also have done some changes to the Elevate product as well. And if you're not familiar with Elevate, it's either part of Connect or it's a standalone product as well. And what that does is it elevates your agent profile. And so this is a pay to play type of thing. So it is a small investment that you do make, but you do get 44% more visibility for this product. And that is noted across these profiles. So really thinking about, is this something that you want to invest in to really stand out? And my fingers were almost too fast there, but you guys are actually among the first to know that we've got some cool new releases coming up probably about mid-month in that Elevate space. And one of them is compliments. And what the compliments are is, I don't know if you can see, but underneath the agent name right here where my cursor is, you'll see that there's these three kind of things that define who she is or what she does. Those are compliments that were chosen by sellers. And those are the top compliments chosen by sellers. And so the rest of them are actually under the ratings and reviews. But what that says is these are the things that sellers see in you to say, this is what really makes them stand out as an agent. And so making that front and center and so visible really helps people immediately understand how different you are or what really makes you stand out and why they should be working with you in the first place. So keep an eye out because those are coming soon. Also, just remember to use that Ignite app. More and more things are going to be used in that Ignite app. And really, if you haven't been familiarizing yourself with it lately, go back, take a look at it. Because this is an important product to really understand, but also this is where you will update your profile. This is where you can include that personal bio. This is where you can include some community involvement, which by the way is also extremely important. This is where you can put those awesome awards that you've won. This is where you can upload videos and media and put in things like websites and social links. So really making sure kind of that everything is there. It starts with that Ignite app. Next is that ratings and reviews. And you could tell that it was really kind of tied into those profiles already. And there's a reason. It's one of the things that people look for. If we think about, when we travel or when we want to go to a restaurant or anything else, we look at ratings and reviews. And that's one of the things that people look at as well when they're trying to decide on different agents. They're looking at people's how they interacted with you. And they're also seeing if you're paying any attention to those people or if you were just in it kind of for the commission and then you walked away. 62%, and this is a higher number than it was last time we did Property Seekers Report, rely on ratings and reviews when selecting an agent to sell their property. So if you don't think that these are important, they are. This is so important. And this is across a number of different channels. So you've got Google, of course. It's not Google My Business anymore. It's the Google Business Profile. I think they've changed the name again. But also on the realestate.com.au, you've noticed how we've kind of really tried to highlight that more and even incorporate those compliments so that we really can make people stand out. So collect the reviews where the audience is looking. Think about where your intended audience, your sellers are looking. Respond to all of those reviews. You can respond to reviews on realestate.com.au profile. So if you haven't been responding to them, respond. Even the negative ones, I know that really sucks. But take a deep breath, treat it professionally, invite them to have a discussion about it offline if that's something that you want to do, or even if you don't want to do. This isn't for those people who left you the negative review. It's for everybody else to see, how do you handle it when something doesn't go 100% correct. Share the key phrases and keywords of those positive reviews across other platforms as well. And this is really important. This is where you can actually take some of those reviews from other sites. This could be old reviews. You may have noticed that there are words that keep popping up to describe who you are and what people think about you. So really think about how you're going to be using that in some of your advertising, even in some of your social content. So you could choose like three words: dedicated, professional, enthusiastic. Okay. those are 3 words that keep popping up maybe to describe working with you and what it's like to work with you. You can actually incorporate that into a tile. So just a plain background with those words standing out. Maybe there's a picture of you or your logo in the bottom corner, and that becomes content for you that you can put out on different places. And that, again, will help you stand out. Now, we can share realestate.com.au reviews through the Ignite app, so through LinkedIn and Facebook. But really think about also, people won't always read every single review that's out there, won't read every single sentence that's out there. Also take the time to not just share it once, but then go back and actually take it apart and share different pieces in different places. If you've been struggling to figure out what content to share with people, this is one of the best things that you could do that's out there. And then finally, that leads us into that social media presence. So that actually leads us into figuring out what is it, where should we be, all of those things in that online space outside, of course, of realestate.com.au and our website, our agency website. These are the top channels that are in Australia. Facebook and YouTube actually kind of go head to head a lot of times, and those numbers sometimes go back and forth. Instagram is then third. WhatsApp, which I'm not going to talk about today because it's a more of an internal kind of messaging channel, but it is used by a number of agents to maybe create communities for their buyers or for their sellers within it. And then LinkedIn, which is the kind of a more precise professional channel. So, you know, we're going to talk about the different demographics of people who are here, and you need to be thinking in the back of your mind then, is this my audience? Are these my intended sellers? Are these the ones that I want to be working with in my area? The first one is Facebook. This is the widest demographic. So this is the one that's kind of the widest channels. If you work with young people, this is not the place for you. But anybody else, especially people who are aged 50 or 60 and above, this is one of the top channels that people go to. It's a really hard space at the moment because it is focused on some pay to play. So it's more on the advertising side of thing. Of course, Facebook is constantly trying to make changes, but there are some ways that you can actually leverage some of those changes to your benefit. So the first is to focus on the quality of your audience if you have a Facebook page versus the quantity of the audience. So quality means that you are really focused on attracting the people that you want to, that you think are going to be part of that group, those potential sellers group among them. The next is teaching people how to follow your page effectively. So you can actually show people, this is how you actually follow a Facebook page. This is where you can, and this is how you can, this is how you can actually follow this and see this information first, but tell people why they should be coming to that page in the first place. Are you giving information that you're not going to find anywhere else? Maybe you're updating people on coming soons before anything else, you know, on new listings before it hits anywhere else. Maybe you're going to, you know, give information or tips for how people can work in a challenging market or how they can succeed in a challenging market, but it's going to be on that page. Think about the ways that you can do that. Tell a story. So try to think about incorporating storytelling instead of the just solds and just listed. Actually tell the challenges perhaps of the sellers, what they were afraid of and how you overcame some of those fears to get that listing on the market and then get that listing sold. And then what does that mean for them now that that listing is sold? What is it that they are able to do now that you have done that for them? If there's a great buyer story in there as well, then maybe that's something as well that you can incorporate. But just make sure that you're really telling a story as much as you can. So that helps people understand why they should be investing in you as well as an agent. Use Creator Studio or Business Suite if you haven't already. This also allows you to schedule to your Facebook pages, but it also gives you the ability to really kind of get into a number of different features that aren't necessarily always available in that desktop just when you just log into Facebook. So either going to that desktop space or also downloading it on as an app those two are very, you can do. Facebook groups as well. So Facebook groups is one of the most important places really to be thinking about where creating a community or being part of a community. And even more so now because Facebook's coming out with some new features for Facebook groups, and that includes creating subgroups. So you can actually create a group within a group if you want to, and creating a whole number of things that admins of Facebook groups are going to be able to tap into, because they really can see that more and more people are gravitating towards those communities, especially on Facebook. So really thinking about, are you nurturing one of those already? Have you created one of those already? Is that something that you could do to possibly attract more people who are in that seller space to this area? And finally, videos, upload them directly to Facebook if you aren't already. Longer form videos still are doing really well on Facebook, which is kind of interesting in a short form video world. So longer videos necessarily can do well, but just really think about how you're incorporating video, and also just in general, creating kind of a different, are you posting pictures sometimes, but then sometimes video, what do your captions look like for your Facebook posts? All of those things really come together, and those can be used to really capture people. And the big thing about capturing people is telling them what you want them to do next. So incorporating a call to action in all of your posts, no matter what social channel you're on, is important. What is it that you want them to do after they read or see or hear something? Where is it that you want them to go next? That's one of the ways that you can start to actually not just capture their attention initially, but also hopefully capture their information as well. YouTube, this is a video hosting platform. And again, this is where you could put some of those videos from that you are going to put on your agent profile. This could be videos that you are going to upload as well to Facebook. The big thing with this one is that Google owns this, and Google is paying attention to the words that you use in descriptions and titles and subtitles. They're really paying attention to that. There's something out there now called YouTube Shorts, which is basically any video that is a minute or less. And what it does is it actually is already identifying those videos on your channel if you have them, and putting them in a different section called YouTube Shorts. But those are also attracting people. The big thing with this one is especially that language. So if you've got a listing that you've got a great video for and you've got it uploaded to YouTube, even if it's just to host it, take the time to put all of the listing information in the description. Take the time to put the address in the title. If it's still listed, then put it there. If it's sold, then put sold before it. Put all of that information, including your contact information or your preferred contact information in it. The more that you can associate these properties, these areas as well with your name, the better off you're going to be. Now, if you're specifically focused on YouTube, however, this still is going to be an educational or entertainment platform. So you have to decide, are you going to use it as an entertainment side or an educational side? Educational is still used by people a lot. How to do things is one of the things that you can use. Also think about looking into YouTube advertising. I don't know the costs, of course, across your different areas, but this is something that I'm starting to see more Australian agents and agencies invest in to, again, capture the people who are here. YouTube is also a very wide demographic. You might think it's just for older people, but this goes up to over 65 for people who visit this platform on a regular basis. So really thinking about how you're going to target those people, or how you're going to find those people or stand out to those people, is very important. Instagram, smaller demographic. Well, it is a little bit smaller demographic, but that's only because it's a smaller kind of age range. This is primarily people between the ages of 20 and 45 well, I always say 45. It's supposed to be 20 to 40, but I put myself in there, so it's 20 to 45. This is really very image-based, but it's also very engagement-based. Instagram is looking at the images or the videos that you are uploading. They're very, very focused on Reels right now. IGTV has gone away. What they've done is they've incorporated it basically into your feed. So you can now upload videos up to 60 minutes in your Instagram feed. They're focused a lot on stories. That's where the engagement portion comes in. That means polls and stickers. Now, the cool news for this is that now you also get access to a link. So before, you'd have swipe up for, to visit a website, but it was only for people with 10,000 followers or more. They've taken that away. They've now offered this link sticker that will take you basically to any link that you want them to. Just try to remember that Instagram doesn't like it when you're constantly pushing people off of its platform. So really think about how you're intermixing that with other content that you might have with there, asking those questions, inviting that engagement that's out there, engaging with other people on the platform as well. Also in your bio itself, that's where some of those keywords again come in, those differentiators, but also think about that link that you use in your Instagram bio. There are companies out there like Link in Bio and Linktree, LINKTREE, that allow you to actually have different links that open up as soon as you pop on one link. So you click on that one link, all of a sudden you've got all of these other ones to choose from. This is another way that you can really think about making sure and maximizing that people are getting the information that they're looking for. There's things called Instagram guides that are out there. They're for places, posts, and products. You can create one for posts that you've created, even on listings. You can create one for places so that you kind of own a place, and you can put as much or as little information into those as you want. But that is kind of a newer place. And that's also where Instagram is getting some of its information on how to highlight people when people are searching for new content, or when Instagram wants to highlight new content. Finally, there's something called Instagram favorites that Instagram is thinking about testing, or has started to test in different countries. And that's where you actually could nominate, these are my favorites. And these are the people that I definitely want to see. I don't want to miss them, whether it's a story or an Instagram post. So keep an eye out or an ear out basically to when those launch, or if those launch, because again, you will want to teach the people who follow you to nominate you as one of their Instagram favorites. LinkedIn is the final one with those big four. This is smaller again, smaller demographic again. These are more professionally based. This is really definitely more of a business to business platform. Contrary to popular belief, it's not just for recruiting. It also is for connecting with people that you don't necessarily want to be Facebook friends with. Maybe referral sources that will help you connect with potential sellers. So solicitors, accountants, those kinds of people. LinkedIn has an amazing blog called the LinkedIn Marketing Solutions blog. If you aren't already getting their newsletter, it's really fantastic. They have a lot of really useful information there. Video content is still 20 times more likely to be shared. So think about that when you're thinking about what to put up as a post. Video cover stories are available now. So through your LinkedIn app, you can actually create up to a 20-second video, short video that describes who you are, but you can also trigger something or toggles something called creator mode. So you can actually go into what's called creator mode for your LinkedIn profiles. And what that does is it allows you to actually you can choose up to 5 hashtags that you want associated with your name. And it also allows you to feature more posts, and there's a couple of other attributes, but it's really so that it's easier to find you on LinkedIn. So if that's one of the platforms that you've been thinking about maybe focusing on more, especially as we're coming into the new year, maybe that's where you wanted to create some more of the referral networks, or attract more people who may be more business minded. And so that's really the platform that they're really going to be more attracted to versus some of the other ones, then this is something that you really should be focused on. Video is just a really important component in that content. You've probably heard me say it 1,000 times already in this webinar. If you have been video shy, stop being video shy. You have to embrace this. Just think about this. If you are creating a social media post, so one that's not just like, that's not done with, a professional cameraman and all of those things. If it's just done by you, really think about what that hook is. What is it that you're going to tell them in that first 3 to 5 seconds so they want to continue watching? So introduce yourself, tell them what the video is about, why they should watch it. When you do that, you're already giving them all of the information that they might need to decide whether or not they want to continue or not. Captioning all those videos is important, not just for people who might be hearing impaired, but it's also for people who are just up at 3 o'clock in the morning and don't want to wake people up, who are going back into the office and sitting at their desk and looking at videos. Just making sure that you have those captions is pretty much all more important than ever. Think about using transcripts as well, so you can actually get your videos transcribed. And this can be captions then for posts moving forward. This could be a blog post. This could be a LinkedIn post. So really think about ways that you can use that information. And then finally, content. I always get asked, but we just don't know what to use. We don't know what to say. So this could be a sample content calendar, especially for that social media space. You could, on Monday, you could share a really quick short video that's just an update basically on how your weekend went. Maybe it was auctions, auction clearance rates. It could be visitors to open for inspections. It could be whatever you see the market doing. Just a really quick thing. Just don't forget your call to action at the end of it. Have them call you, have them reach out to you, whatever it is that you want them to do. Wednesday, think about more community-minded stuff. So people who aren't actively in that sell space yet, think about how you're going to draw them in and show that you are really a community member, but also, and that you're extremely knowledgeable about that space. And so you could spotlight a local business, or you could have fun facts about the different areas that you work in or around. Friday, again, this is going to be more about a story, a listed story or a sold story that you have from the week. Maybe it's a great listing that you've got and there's a couple of things that you really want to highlight about it. Or maybe it's a sold story where you talk about some of the things, the challenges you had to overcome to get to that sold. And then Saturday, before you walk out the door for your auctions or your OFIs or whatever it is that you're going to be doing that day, then just do a really quick video. And maybe you want to highlight one specific listing that you definitely want people to show up to. Think about ways that you really can incorporate that video and that invitation, that personal invitation to people as well. And you could do this on a small scale too. So you could actually do this for creating videos for individual people as well. And one of the easiest ways that you can do it is you actually write their name on a piece of paper and then hold it up so that it's the first thing they see when they see the video, so they know that that video is actually about them. When you do that, you will have a much higher open rate for specific people. Language matters just in general. I know that there's a ton of record sales out there. I know that some things haven't hit the market. I know that some things are selling before you can possibly even, the ink dries basically on your agency agreement. Just really be careful about how that shows up to other people. Buyers especially, I know buyers aren't sellers at the moment, but buyers will become sellers at some point. So really thinking about that impression that we're leaving, especially because people are very frustrated right now in this market, and thinking about the language that we're using around that market, self-centered marketing as well. So I know I talked about first person when I was talking about your agent profile, but in marketing in general, think about using you a lot more, because that's going to be more consumer centered than self-centered marketing. So it's going to be less about you as the agent and more about how you are helping others. And so that can be helpful as well in your language. And those just listed and just sold posts, like I said, don't make real estate look too easy. We know it's not too easy. We all know it's not too easy. So stop making it look too easy in that online space. Instead, highlight some of those things that went into basically getting that listing or getting that sold. Other content ideas that are out there. So local real estate, market, community lifestyle. Peter Campfin, who's up here in Queensland, he had some really great ideas around market indicators. So I have, with his permission, borrowed them. So these are all ways that you can showcase your expertise. Market indicators especially really help people understand exactly what's going on with the market right now and your expertise, your expert advice that's out there. This is what people are looking for from you. They want somebody who is a professional, who is that expert at the end of the day. Of course, we've got a ton of resources as well that that you can take advantage of. We are constantly putting new updates and creating new updates to things like our Agent Marketing Center, Ignite app, especially focusing on that. We have a really cool lifestyle blog series. I don't know if you've taken a look at that before, but some of that has some really great posts that aren't necessarily specific, to one area, but are more general ideas, and they can either trigger something that you're like, oh yeah, I should share that, or you create your own posts or content based off of it. And then just making sure, of course, that you leverage our audience and all of the things that we have to offer you. And that starts again with those agent profiles. So important. So we've talked about all the ways to capture sellers' attention in that online space, the major ones: the profile, the ratings, the reviews, the social media presence. I want to thank you guys for your time today. I know how important it is. I know how important your time is today. So I really do appreciate it. We do have a poll that will be coming up, and I also will check with the questions to see if there are any questions in the Q&A as well. So I did have a question from Joey, who's asked, so when I write my agent profile, I should not use the third-party approach. Would you recommend I say things like, I have lived locally for 30 years? First of all, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to use that third-party approach or a first-party approach. If you are kind of like a more outgoing or easygoing person, or you really work well with people, then really think about using that personal approach. And you would say things like, I will, I've lived here, I've lived here locally for 30 years. This is my favorite place. Or maybe you've even seen me at this cafe, really kind of bringing in some of that local knowledge as well, some of that local stuff that's there, so that people really kind of visualize and see you there. I think that's one of the ways that you can really start to kind of incorporate some of that. You could throw in, if your kids have gone to local schools, or if you've supported local, fates or anything else, throw some of that in. The more language that you use around that as well really helps people really visualize that. And that, on top of our maps that we have incorporated into that agent profile, are really going to help people understand that. Somebody is wondering about how to improve the quality of inquiry that's out there. I would love to know that too. The quality, sometimes, some of it's going to be out of frustration that people are just kind of mashing as much information basically to as many agents as possible because they're desperate. I think part of it is also maybe there's keywords that you could use to create filters in your email, so that there's actually keywords that you might be able to use to kind of filter some of that inquiry out. Improving the quality of that isn't necessarily my forte, but it is something that I can definitely ask some of the people who create some of these systems as well as some of our research team, and then I can get back to you. So if you even want to reach out to me at tara.christianson or tara.christianson at rea-group.com, that's my email address, and I'd be more than happy to look into that for you as well. This was recorded, so just for anybody who's looking, this has been recorded, and so hopefully this will be available. I'm not entirely sure through which channels, but this will be available as well. And definitely make sure that you reach out to your account managers about that. Somebody asked, Adam asked, seems like loads of work to do this consistently. Do most agents, or do you recommend getting an external person to help with social videos, etc.? With that, it is something that you definitely are going to, you have to think about, is this an investment that you're going to create of an investment of time? So that means your time, or is it an investment of your money where you basically pull somebody in? Some people do hire other people to assist them with this. There are a couple things I caution with that. Number one is a company who does this for a lot of other large, or especially large agencies or large agents, because there's every chance basically that you're going to have the same content basically as other people that are out there, and that's not going to look real. It's not going to be personal. The thing that really helps people more is that it's a more of a personal feel. So even if you're posting less, it's not about posting a lot. It's about posting well. So even if you can only do, I had a content calendar with 3 times a week. Maybe you can only do once a week or twice a week. Instead, thinking about what is it that you can feasibly do with your time, with your knowledge? What is it that you may either need to be upskilled on yourself, or something that you might need to bring an expert in to do instead? And then making sure that that expert understands your voice and your intention, and make sure that basically they can mimic you, so it looks like it's you online no matter what. So thinking about how you basically can do that would be really important. Somebody asked Daniel asked, how can I incorporate Rate My Agent reviews into my REA profile rather than having to get the reviewers to send a separate review? Well, one of the things is that you're not going to necessarily be able to incorporate those reviews directly, obviously, into that review section without getting that separate. But you can either get that REA review first before it goes to Rate My Agent, or you could think about taking some of those past reviews that you've received on other channels like RMA or like Google or anywhere else, and then weaving those into your profile. And so you could actually take something that was like top, it was just an awesome thing that people use, and you could weave that into that profile instead. One of my sellers from wherever that area was, so you don't necessarily need to even name them by name, but has said about working with me this. And so you actually are highlighting it as part of that profile. Another is actually using some of those things that I talked about in the past, which was taking some of those keywords from some of those other reviews that might have been written in other spaces and incorporating those into social tiles instead. So, so like taking those 3 words and putting them up, or taking maybe a key sentence from a couple of those and actually just using those as posts for your content instead. So there's a number of ways that you can weave them, not just into your profile, but then also into your social content as well. I think that was it for answers, for questions. If there are any other questions, of course, please feel free to reach out to me, tara.christianson@rea-group.com. But I do appreciate your time today. Peter was looking for a physical copy of these slides. Please talk to your account manager. I'm going to see if we can send these out to the people who registered, but in the meantime, also talk to your account manager as well. And I will make sure that we get at least everything that we have, that we can share across to you for this. But thank you all. As you know, I'm going to say it, thank all y'all for your time today. I really do appreciate it. It has been a pleasure to talk about one of my favorite subjects, but also capturing sellers online is so important. And I think it is a great space for you to be able to do that. So thank you so much for taking the time to learn some of the ways to do that today. Hope you have a great day.